there's no reason why this phone can't be extremely successful. And I have a theory. Hey, what's up YouTube? My name's Cameron Dougherty here with another tech video. So in the latest iPhone releases, the iPhone 12 mini was introduced. And while some people were very excited for the small form factor and smaller size, it appears as though not that many people were. Recent reports in March indicate that Apple has cut production by around 70% for these iPhone 12 minis. And so since nobody was buying them, we got one. We're going to take a look and unbox it today. So let's talk about the iPhone 12 mini. Before we bust into it, it's really interesting in my eyes. When I first heard about a smaller form factor iPhone, I thought people were going to jump at the opportunity. For a while now, phones have been getting bigger and bigger. If you look at the normal iPhones that slowly are having their sizes creep up and up and up. If you look at the max versions of phones that are getting absolutely massive, and we're really moving more and more towards having a tablet-like experience with our regular phone. There's a lot of people that are being kind of left out when it comes to phones because they might have smaller hands, prefer something that can fit more comfortably into their pocket, or just, miss that portability that they had of the smaller phones. A lot of people have transitioned where they keep their phones from maybe in their pocket to in a purse or a bag. And this seemed like a way to get back to more of that reasonable size. So when I first heard about the iPhone 12 mini, I thought it was a great idea. I thought Apple knew exactly what they were doing. I thought they were going to show the way like they do so many times and really create the demand. It turns out that that was completely misguided. And as of right now, at least, it seems like this phone is not favored by many. So we're going to take a look at it. We're going to unbox it today. We're going to give you guys what we think later on and really see whether maybe people are missing the boat. Maybe there's something here that people are overlooking. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and bust this guy open. This is the base model, which is 64 gigabytes of storage. It is in the black color, so very, very basic. Let's go ahead and take a look. One thing to keep in mind is that this was released amid various states of lockdown and most of the Apple stores not being open. So I've never had a hands-on with this. And so I'm pretty excited to really feel what this size feels like in my hand. And so right away, it is glossy backed. So you can see it is very shiny. Would definitely recommend putting a case on that, or else it is going to be a fingerprint magnet. I'm sure there will be my fingerprints all over it in just a second. There are 2 cameras on the back instead of the 3 that you'll see with the Pro. And so let's see. It is very small and very light. I'm pretty impressed. I'm gonna bring in. So right now I have my iPhone 12 Pro here for a comparison. And so in terms of the difference, we're talking about a 6.1 inch screen to a 5.4 inch screen. So you can see the difference there, and it is noticeable. There's a noticeable size difference, a noticeable weight difference, but otherwise it's a very similar phone. Compared to the 12, the regular 12, the mini is almost identical. The Pro has a few extra features in terms of the camera and some other odds and ends, but otherwise you're looking hardware-wise at a very, very similar phone between the two. And just it really brings me back. It makes me feel much more like I'm holding my original iPhone, which was the iPhone 4, was the first one that I ever had. And it's funny because that also had the squared off sides, which went away in favor of rounded sides and then came back with the iPhone 12 models. And this feels like going back in time. I can reach everywhere pretty easily. My hands are they're very average, I would say. They're not overly large, they're not overly small. And this is very comfortable. I think somebody with smaller hands would feel like they finally can handle their phone. So very interesting. The biggest drawback, obviously, here when they make the smaller form factor phone, obviously you have less screen real estate. So if you're scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, looking through a shopping app, you just have less screen to work with. And so there's going to be just challenges that come with that. If you're watching a movie, if you're on a flight taking in Netflix or whatever it may be, it's just going to be a little bit smaller. So that's definitely one drawback. The other one is battery life. And so there's a significantly smaller battery in the 12 mini, and estimated video playback drops from 17 in the 12 and 12 Pro down to 15 hours. Audio playback goes from 65 hours to 50 hours. And so it's the difference between a 2,815 milliamp hour battery versus a 2,227 milliamp hour battery. And that has been, based on other people's reviews and other people's impressions thus far, has been the biggest thing that's held them back from making a recommendation. But there's also been some people out there that have really liked the phone, even though it has not been selling thus far. But to make it a proper unboxing, taking a look at what else is in here, one thing of note is that there is no charging brick. You can tell that the packaging now is extremely thin as a result, and that's because they don't have the chunky power adapter included any longer. You do get the USB-C to Lightning power cable, but you do not have anything to connect this to a wall outlet. And so that's a environmental measure is what Apple is calling the rationale. There have been challenges, as very recently in Brazil is one of them, where they have a very large lawsuit about not including the power adapters and really around not being able to charge your device as it comes included in the box. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with this in the future, whether Apple's able to stick with this or whether they're going to have to ship different packages to different countries based on what laws they've implemented in terms of what needs to be included in the packaging. But so we have the USB cable. Inside the packaging here, you have the SIM removal tool, sticker, and just documentation. So very basic, very minimal. Apple keeps their packaging as slim as possible so that they're not including anything extraneous. So we'll put this stuff aside. Take another look at the phone here. So the cameras on the back, the one thing I think was a really interesting design choice is that they went with a matte finish on the back of the Pro models, with the camera bump being glossy, whereas they did the inverse on the 12 and the 12 mini, which I think pretty much everyone can agree that in this situation, matte just looks better. I don't know why they can't go with matte throughout. I think the matte camera bump with the matte back would look amazing, and also resist fingerprints, as you might already be able to tell that this is grabbing my fingerprints like crazy when you get it in the right light. Overall impressions though, it's a noticeable difference. The size here is, there's no other way to put it. You will know you are not holding an iPhone of yesteryear. You'll know that this is new, even though, like I said, it feels reminiscent of old. And I really think that, assuming the battery life is acceptable, there's no reason why this phone can't be extremely successful. And I have a theory, and we'll see if it holds true. We'll see if after testing this, whether I still have this same theory. But my theory is that with no one being able to go to the Apple Store during this phone's release, with nobody being able to get a hands-on, the idea of, number one, having a smaller phone when everyone's been going bigger and bigger and bigger may have seemed unusual to people. And then on top of that, you hear it has a smaller battery. That probably worried a lot of people. And until they saw it in action, until they were able to touch it in real life, until they had a friend who had it who could attest that the battery life is sufficient, whatever it may be, I think once those things happen, once these get out into the wild, I guess in a much smaller proportion than Apple expected, but once that happens, then I have a feeling we're going to see more and more of these kick around based on their ease of use, their portability, and also the fact they're a little bit cheaper. So we will see. I will definitely be making another video in the future talking about how this battery life has held up, overall thoughts about the phone in comparison after having used it for a period of time. So this is the iPhone 12 mini. Let me know down in the comments. Tell me, what do you think? Is my theory completely off base? Or do I have it right on? Would you buy this phone? Or do you have it already and do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know down in the comments. I'm really curious to have a little discussion about what's going on with this phone. So we'll be following up in the future. Looking forward to it. And please consider subscribing to the channel. We're still very new, but hoping to keep growing, hoping to keep providing quality content, and looking forward to doing that for you. So give the video a like. That would really help a lot. And until the next time, thanks for watching.